Shalom and welcome to all my brothers and sisters worldwide. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Why have the Hebrews, the Israelites, the Jewish people, the remnant of Yehudah, why have we rejected the claims made in the Greek, Roman Catholic books called the New Testament? The reason is clear, that it goes against everything Tanakh speaks. It goes everything against the prophets of Israel. Now let me show you a brief example. I have many videos on this topic, but this is just a brief description of why we reject the doctrines in the Christian Bible, the New Testament, so to speak, the Greek Testament. The reason is, I'm going to point out some very specific passages that show us that we do not need the claims made in the Christian Bible. Now let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 16. It says very clearly, "The fathers shall not die for the sons, neither the sons for the fathers, neither mothers for daughters, neither daughters for mothers. For every soul shall die for their own sins." It's very clear. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 30. "For every man shall die for his own sins." Ezekiel chapter 18. We go there and you see for yourself from verses 20 through the end. The whole chapter is about sin and atonement. But you see there, I'm just basically paraphrasing here, you see very clear it says, "If the wicked turn from their wicked ways and repent and do what is lawful and right in my eyes," not only does it say that Elohim will forgive them for their sins, but he will no longer remember their sins against them. Very clear. This is the words of Yeshua. Now, in Isaiah chapter 55, it says in verse 6, starting there, "Seek Yeshua while he can be found. Call on him while he is near. Let the wicked change their ways and banish the very thought of doing wrong. Let them turn to Yeshua, that he may have mercy on them. Yes, turn to our Elohim, for he will abundantly forgive." And why is this? Elohim tells you exactly why this is. Verse 8, "For my thoughts are nothing like your thoughts, says Yeshua, and my ways are higher than your ways." Don't think you're going to figure out that you can explain away your Christian ideas or ideologies from the Christian Bible onto the Hebrew Scriptures, from God's own words. "For just as the heavens are higher than the earth," in verse 9, "so my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts." Very clear and consistent. We have the example in Jonah chapter 3, where Jonah goes to the city of Nineveh, and he warns the people of Nineveh. "In 40 days, Yeshua will overturn your city and destroy your place." And what does it say that the king there did and all the people? It said that he rose from his throne, he sat in ashes, and he made a declaration to all the people, and he said, "You better all bring animal sacrifices or you'll never be forgiven." It doesn't say that. It says he got up, sat in ashes, told everyone to fast, to repent, and all these rituals, nothing to do with sacrifices or sin or grab a lamb and sacrifice. He said he turned, they repented, they turned from their sins. And it says there at the very end, read it for yourself, Jonah chapter 3, at the very end, it says, "And God saw that they had turned and repented from their evil ways, and he changed his mind from the evil that he was going to do to them." He didn't do it. Exodus chapter 32, a wonderful example of what God feels about human sacrifice, someone doing it for the other people. Exodus chapter 32, verses 32 through 34. This is the scene of the golden calf, the Israelites, when they disobeyed God and started worshiping the golden calf. What did Moshe do? He went up to the mountain and tried to plead their case. And what does he say? Moses begs Elohim, and he says, "But now if you will forgive," this is in verse 32 through 34. "But now, if you will forgive their sin, but if not, blot me out of your book of life that you have written." And what does God say to Moshe? He says, "No, you will not die for their sins." He says, "The people that sins against me, I will blot their names out of my book of life." Nobody dies for the sins of another. And this is over and over and over. So, this Shabbat, I want us to acknowledge the abundant mercy of Yeshua, our Elohim. Because, although we do not have a temple, we see in Hosea, in the prophet Hosea, in chapter 3, it says, "For many days The remnant of Yehudah will be without sacrifices, without a temple, without a prince. And that's what we're dealing with right now. That's why the temple is not built yet. But all these things will come back. Read it for yourself. Hosea chapter 3, the whole chapter. It tells you what's going to happen in the end of days. Ezekiel 37 says about the real Messiah and the real Messianic age. Read from verses 24 to the end. And my servant David will be a prince among them. They will follow my ways and follow my ordinances. I'm paraphrasing here. Read it for yourselves. Ezekiel 37, 24 through the end. It says, and my sanctuary will be among them. And it says very clearly, when my sanctuary is among them, then the nations shall know that I, Yehovah, do sanctify Yisrael when my temple is among them forevermore. And we hope and pray that we see that time coming very soon, because a lot of prophecies are being fulfilled in our time, many. And we can hear the footsteps of the true Mashiach and the true Elohim. As it says in Isaiah chapter 11, in those days the knowledge of Elohim, of Yehovah, shall cover the world as the waters covers the seas. Very clear. Isaiah chapter 2, that all the nations, the whole chapter says, all the nations shall come to Israel, to Zion, and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, that he may teach us his ways. These are the righteous of the nations. Shall learn from Yisrael. And we are seeing that in our time. Zechariah chapter 8 verse 23 says very clearly, in those days 10 men of all nations shall grab the clothing of a Jew, Yehudi, and tell them, take us with you, for now we know Elohim is with you. We have been seeing that in the past couple decades. It's an exciting time. So be ready and reflect on the blessings of this time that we're living in. Shalom, enjoy your Shabbat, and have a blessed weekend. Thank you so much for your time.